Aloha, everybody. Yay! It's so good to see everybody in the live chat. Thank you guys so much. I know some of you guys came from the Kanilea reveal, where you got to actually hear and see the beautiful Kanilea Platinum for this year. I feel really honored that we were able to be the first folks to play it. And I think it's just really, really cool that we get that really awesome opportunity. Anyway, welcome. Today we're going to be doing practice techniques. It should be a lot of fun. We're going to the thing with practice is there's so much to it. And depending on where you are in your musical journey, you'll find that you are going to lay out your practice in different ways. One of the big things to kind of keep in mind that we always tell folks is you want to kind of segment your practice a bit. Those of you guys that, actually, I have a 15-minute sort of like, if you only have 15 minutes, here's some things to practice in the packet towards the back. But the Diaper Club package included just what you would do with 30 minutes, what you could do with an hour kind of thing. And I talk a little bit more about practice in that packet, as well as give you some extra scales and warm-up exercises. And I'm going to be, today, after our live stream, I'm going to be recording a video going through all of that, plus a intro to chord melody utilizing Love Song, because it's kind of the perfect song for it. It's got most of the melody on the A string, and it's all, well, besides the fact that it's a really great tune. So that's all in the Diaper Club packet, for those of you wondering what's in there. But we're going to kind of go over just a little bit of a lot of things today with the practice, including playing with a metronome. We'll, of course, start with warm-ups when it's time. We'll do some scale stuff, and then we'll work on the song and discuss all of that.
With that said, one of the big things that we can utilize while we have you here early, if there are some things that you guys have been burning to ask about, whether it's practice, tips or anything like that, we have 13 minutes to go over any questions. We want to make sure that we can also answer you guys directly. The past 2 years, as Sarah mentioned, there's been so much learning online, and we want to make sure that we're utilizing all the different things that we're learning from all these amazing teachers, and we want to kind of put together a game plan with you. So this is also, going to be helping our artist work students as well, because again, we don't have an unlimited time to practice. Some of us who are affected with lockdowns and whatnot end up having a little bit more time, but still we don't have an infinite amount of time to really spend. I think I was in high school, that my summer before college is when I kind of did a deep dive and went and practiced like 6 to 7 hours a day. Although there were some great gains from doing that, there were also a lot of bad habits that formed because of that, because I was getting fatigued with my hands, and I ended up having to compensate by death gripping and little things like that. So part of what we're going to be going over today is thinking about the things that we use to really hone in and I guess practice safely, I guess you could say, rather than in the sense of not trying to overdo it, or whether it's being burned out mentally or physically, so little things like that. So this is going to be a really fun workshop today, that we're kind of utilizing all these different aspects of pretty much what we did to get to where we are. Let's see. I see some great questions already.
So going from E minor, so E minor 7 is what that looks like to me. Oh no, 4-4-3-2. Okay, that guy to A minor. Now, to me, it kind of depends. So the question is, how do I get from this E minor, so 4-4-3-2, to A minor? That guy, or I could use my index. So it kind of depends on what's coming after A minor actually is. It's going to kind of help me make this decision.
Oh, back to E minor.
Oh, back to E minor?
Yeah.
Okay, so here. What I would probably end up doing, well, you could do a couple of different things. Let's see what works best for you. I would end up doing my index and lifting and then bringing these fingers back down like that. Probably would be what I would do. You could also try doing this so that this finger never leaves the string and then slide back up and make E minor. But my question is, why are we using a closed E minor and an open A minor? Why not use open for 3, 2, to A minor, this guy instead? But maybe you prefer the sound of this one. But yeah, so for me, you could do this, slide the same finger down, slide it back up, and then bring everybody down, or I would probably end up using my index, but also notice how my fingers are hovering. Like, I know I'm going back to E minor. So my ring and my pinky are actually totally hanging out together already and kind of prepped to come back down. One thing that we'll talk some about today is just working on this hand without even strumming, doing what I did, slow motion, of kind of going, okay, this guy, lift up, put these down here, and just going through that motion of whichever one you're going to choose, going through the motions of just physically doing it, or doing this one, and really just trying to do it. I keep messing up. Doing that only with this hand, I find to be super helpful. Maybe that's your warm-up exercise, right? Is going through this transition and kind of going, okay, this is what we're going to do, or this is what I'm going to do. Right. So I don't know if Craig has anything to add to that.
No, that's pretty good. And again, it's the choice, yeah, because you're not even, I would say, make it easy. There's no reason, unless, again, you need that lower note.
Right. Like maybe you have a low G and you
Yeah.
don't like that open low G sound, maybe. And that's why you're not using that E minor and you're using the closed one.
It is fantastic to see so many people around the world joining us. Our favorite Welshies are on.
Can you recommend exercises combining hammer-ons and pull-offs to do trills? Well, we're going to kind of go over a little bit of that today.
You're in luck. That's going to be good.
That's actually one of our
Another
focuses.
question on strings. So, Linda, as far as strings go, welcome to the start of your string quest.
I know, right?
The string thing is so personal. What I would suggest, though, is if you can go to a store that has a bunch of ukes, if not, in the sense of trying out all the different strings you can, and it can get expensive if you buy them all yourself. There's just so many options nowadays, and there's part of it is realizing little things that you can describe, like low tension, high tension, a deeper tone, or brighter strings, and it affects your feel. It affects how comfortable you are with certain playing. Our custom GHS sets are a little bit more mellow, softer on the fingers. I told them I wanted to be as lazy as possible, so they're low tension compared to a lot of the other choices out there. So it doesn't have that huge bright sound, which is what we kind of went for with our sound, and then we had the instruments, built from kind of like that actually had those strings in mind to keep that tonal range present. I mean, so there's so many different things that can go into it, and part of it is just trying out as many as you can, because you're going to start feeling where you're going with it, what attracts you to certain sets of strings. And then the hard part is you're going to put them on a different uke and they're going to sound completely different.
They are.
So it's a never-ending kind of quest, but
It is.
it's a fun one, especially as you start to be able to describe what you're hearing and what speaks to you.
Now, we had an Artist Work student ask about, they missed the special exclusive session with Diane that we did. And so Artist Work students, we do have our monthly guest instructors that are just for you guys, which is really exciting. And Artist Works now has everything all in one place, so you don't have to go looking at all these different links that we send you in the forum. So Artist Work students, when you log in, go to lessons, then that's where you'll see like beginning, intermediate, advanced, 30-day challenge, etc. There's a new segment called I think it's special guests. Click on that and you'll see all of the past people that we've had. I don't know if Diane's is already uploaded. It actually might be. So double check. She also has a PDF because she listed all of the lessons that she found helpful.
30-day challenge up and running yet?
No, it's not up and running.
Okay, so we sent all the files for the new 30-day challenge collaboration video for you guys for Artist Works. They have yet to finalize the upload, so but keep an eye out.
It's a lot. It's going to take them some time.
Yeah.
And then let's see. Oh, I love some people are seeing that, talking about, yes, the Kanilea reveal today was
fun.
really cool. Hopefully they recorded it so that you can go back and watch it if you missed it and you want to see their new 2022 Platinums. They're very beautiful. And then we had some people mention, and I did mention this in our last email blast, Cameron is 2 years old and we won't be able to call it the Diaper Club for much longer.
hopefully, right?
hopefully. I mean, you never know.
That's
so
true.
we're trying to think of new names, and I feel like the Potty Club just isn't. It doesn't have the same ring to it. But I do like Rob has a couple. The Toddler Club, which I like that one actually, and the Terrible Two Club, which I have to say his twos, granted we're only in the first month, aren't as bad. I feel like he had a really bad like year and 3/4 time where he was like throwing tantrums and getting mad, because honestly most of the reasons when he gets mad are because we don't understand him, and so he gets really frustrated because he's like, I said this thing to you people, why don't you understand what I want? And I'm like, what was that? Show me. And so it's just I think it's a language thing for him. He'll get sometimes super frustrated.
Now, if you're just joining us or watching the replay, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's come and supported our live streams. Again, we're keeping these live streams absolutely free. We're showing everything from the PDFs on screen. If you do want to support and purchase your own copy, you can go to craigandsarah.com/live. The Diaper Club packet does include extra materials and videos. Sarah's going to be recording that this weekend.
Yes.
But it also pays it forward for those who still would like packets that are going through a rough time still and cannot afford one. And we are still seeing many people who are having a rough time during this period. And I can't thank you guys enough for helping pay that forward. And supporting each other. We've had people that donated multiple packets for people, which has been amazing. So I just really want to say thank you to you guys, because again, the pandemic really ended up kind of bringing us closer and more together. I feel, even though we can't, we
physically
haven't been able
together
to get together in person as much as before. The incredible worldwide ukulele community has really stepped up, and it's been amazing to see that growth. And again, we can't thank you guys enough for not only supporting our events, but supporting all of the incredible ukulele artists who have had a really, really hard time these past few years. Again, things have been so different. And we're still kind of adapting. We're still trying to push out. And one of the big things that we'll unveil later this year is a big project that we're going to try to undertake that is going to help ukulele musicians even more. And
we're super excited.
So
we just got to finalize some things before we can actually announce it.
Yes, but we're very excited. But it's thanks to you guys that we're starting to kind of put these things together and connect the dots. So huge thank you to you guys.
And a couple of people have asked about upgrading their packets to the Diaper Club. You totally can. Just shoot us an email, and then it'll be obviously after the live stream. We'll send you the Diaper Club packet, and I'll send you a note letting you know how you can.
Cam Club.
How you can do it. I do like Cam Club. Somebody also said College Fund or like College Club, which I mean, because if it's either Cam or College, we won't have to change the name again, right? Because it's like those are pretty solid for a while. And I try to make sure I update the picture every time for the Diaper Club, so you get to see him grow with each packet you purchase. So.
And he is growing way too fast.
Oh my God.
It's crazy.
But honestly, oh God, it's been so wonderful getting to be home with him and watch him grow. And
have another baby and keep Diaper Club.
I know. I can barely do one, you guys. I don't know if I can do a second one. And it's funny, I'm not going to fall for that. Oh, but they'll be playmates. I'm like, not for the first 8 months they won't. Oh my God. That was, I think all parents can agree that the first 6 months are pretty rough. I mean, they're amazing. Being a parent's great, etc. But the lack of sleep. I can't imagine holding a 9-to-5 job. So those of you out there who had multiple children, had 9-to-5 jobs, and still got it all done, I commend you. And those of you who are single parents, I don't know how you do it, and you're amazing.
Yes, we actually did do a bunch of sign language when he was younger, for milk, for more, for done, for help.
Yep.
And
my gosh.
And then we got lazy.
But then now the only word he won't say, but he will still sign is more.
Yeah.
He will not actually say the word more. He will still sign it. Now it's supposed to be this, but he does this. But we know what he means. But it's so funny. We'll say more, and he does this. Like, no, say more, and he goes. It's like, oh, kid.
All right, so let's officially get started.
Yes.
Let's see. I will do this. Am I starting or are you starting?
Actually, it could be you.
Okay, now we're gonna have some slight variations. Some of these do overlap with our curriculum at ArtistWorks, but we're gonna kind of dive them into a little differently, and again, try to showcase how to hit multiple birds with one stone, so to speak. And Kanalea Ukulele is in the chat too. I heard no, I can't do that. So before we get real quick, I want to showcase this uke really quick because
Look at that.
This is as much as we love the platinums, we also love our customs so much. Look at that.
It's so beautiful.
And these are really the most beautiful sounding ukes we've ever played. And there'll be another announcement later on about something fun with that side of it too. But we've been playing these new ukes for about 2 weeks now.
A little longer than that.
And, oh my gosh,
they're beautiful,
incredible. So Sarah's playing the old custom.
I am, the old custom is still holds a special place in my heart because it was a wedding gift. So it's amazing.
But yeah, we are super excited to do some more sound recordings with the new customs. All right. With that said, one of my favorite exercises, bar none, is an exercise that I learned learning the cello. Now, those numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. What we're gonna do is start on the A string, and each number represents a fret. So 1 on the A string, 2, 3, 4. All right. It sounds simple enough, right? But can you hear a difference between this and so one of the things that we want to start working on this year is, again, really thinking about the quality of the note that you're playing. So yes, we could play 1, 2, 3, 4, but if you hear all those in between little stops, it's not very clean. So part of the secret here to really ensure we get the cleanest note possible is allowing those notes to ring for as long as possible before switching to the next note. So here, I'm going to leave my index finger on and then bring on my middle finger to play that 2. Now, there is a difference between, right? If you bring that middle finger down too early, you're either going to get a hammer-on or you're going to stop the string from vibrating. So this is where it gets really tricky, because you want that timing, that middle finger and that thumb, to hit that string almost at the exactly same time, so that, again, you're allowing those notes to ring for as long as possible. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And these tiny attention to details, this is to me what separates, you know, someone kind of learning an ukulele and then starting to really be very deliberate of how they're playing. This is where you can, you know, people always speak, oh, the ukulele is part of me. This is an extension of myself, being able to sing out. This is how we can, again, control that tone, that sound. Now, the next line, 1, 4, 3, 4. So not only do those numbers represent what fret, but it also represents how many fingers are going to be held down. So again, so 1, we're going to put all 4 down. For the 3, we're just going to release the pinky and then back to the 4. So again, 1, all 4, drop to the 3, back to 4. Again, 1, all 4, drop to the 3, back to the 4. Good. Let's try that next line. 1, 4, 2, 4. 1, all 4, drop to the 2, back to the 4. Again, 1, all 4, drop to the 2, back to the 4. 1, 3, 2, 3. 1, only up to the ring finger, drop to the 2. Really focus on that timing of that left hand and right hand together. 1, 3, 2, 3. Now, let's drop all 4 fingers down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's hit 4. Drop down to the 3. Drop down to the 2. Drop down to the 1. And again, you cannot lift your finger up early, right? Because you lose that sound. So you have to time that release with that thumb. Now, for those of you who are getting really good tone, you can start thinking about variations where you're doing double hits on, let's say, the thumb, down, up. That's how we can work on that speed of that double picking. You can focus on strengthening your different fingers. You can use your index, your middle, your ring, etc. Again, this is the kind of practicing that is going to just make you a stronger and more deliberate player, focusing on that tone, focusing on how you're hitting the strings with your right hand. You can think about using dynamics. So you can think of it as maybe going soft, getting a little bit louder. Next line, soft again. A little bit louder. Soft again. But again, there's so many things that you can use this to really hone in on. Again, getting to know your fretboard, in the sense of you're going to know exactly what those 4 frets feel like, so that you don't have to always stare at your fingers. You can focus more on performance to an audience, you know, that kind of thing. You can practice again with dynamics, with different fingers on the right hand. But this was one of those exercises that I went back to numerous times to add a different layer. And every time it was so beneficial to spend that extra time. I would say 4 times per line every day, easy. It takes you about 90 seconds to 2 minutes, but it's an incredible exercise to do.
Yeah, I really like that one a lot. That's one of the ones that many of the Artist Work students know. If they've done a welcome video, I'm like, do the Aldrin Spider and the 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what we always start people with because it's such a great exercise. One question I did actually have, Craig, for that I know some other folks have asked in the past is, you focus on the A string. Would it be good to also play it on the other strings too, just so that you get used to positioning? What do you think, Craig?
I'm sorry. What?
Oh, sorry. When you go to play that one, would it make sense to actually practice it on all the strings too?
For that one, because we're not usually doing a lot of that
All four
vertical work on the
fingers.
G string, I would say the E and the A is the most important.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. So you heard it from him, even though the main focus is the A string, but if you can also practice it on the E string as well, and it would be beneficial too. But it's not required. So that was one that's, I feel like that one's a more fretting hand focused exercise, though you do need to make sure, of course, that you are hitting at the correct time with the strumming or picking hand. What I'm going to go over with you is actually, it's an alternating thumb pattern that I like to use to help warm up this hand. So for me on this one, we're going to only use 3 fingers. We're going to use thumb, index, and middle. And we're going to base these fingers on our G, C, and E string, and then they're going to move over, and they're going to be on the C, E, and A string. Okay, so they're going to start on these 3 and then move down. And we're just going to go back and forth. Now, for me, what I like to do if I'm working on a new picking pattern or even a new strumming pattern is I don't hold any chords. I just leave the strings open, or I mute the strings with this hand and then practice playing, practice whatever it is. I'm going to just leave open strings for right now. And what we're going to do is we're just going to do thumb, index, middle, like that. 1, 2, 3, again, thumb, index, middle. 4, 1, 2, 3, again, thumb, index, middle. All right, let's move that grouping over so your thumb is now based on the C string. So 1, 2, 3, 4, thumb, middle, index. I said the wrong names. Try it again. Thumb, index, middle. And we'll do it one more time with thumb, index, middle. Okay, now can we do thumb, index, middle, and then scoot it down and do thumb, index, middle? Let's try, okay? Here we go. Thumb, index, move, C, G string, C string, again, G string, C string, G string, C string. That I messed up there. G, C. Now I'm going to pause for a second since we have a close-up of my hand, and I want to show you a couple of pitfalls that happen with folks when they start picking. Is for some reason we tend to like really dig into the string when we first start picking, like that, right? And then we end up pulling the string and bouncing our hand. And I'm over-exaggerating on purpose so you can really see. And we end up doing something like this, where your hand's bouncing everywhere. The problem with bouncing your hand is that it's not very efficient, but also you're not always going to get consistent tone. Whereas if I try to keep my hand pretty much still but relaxed, and I'm going to turn to the side slightly so you can just see my fingers are just going to move. Look at that. And I'm just floating right there. If you plant, that's fine. You can plant your pinky or your pinky in your middle. I don't mind if you do that. Or if you float like I do, it doesn't matter. The main thing is look at how relaxed my hand is, and it really is just me doing this, right? So keep that in mind and make sure you don't bounce off of the strings like this, because you might miss when you come back, or you might hit the string too hard because you're really pulling the string away when you just need to very gently touch the strings. So just keep that in mind. Thanks, Craig, for having that close-up on that. Now, this is a triplet formation. So this is 1 beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can think of it in either way depending on your song, but your thumb is always going to be the beat, whether it's on the G string or whether it's on the C string. So keep that in mind. Now I feel like this picking pattern actually sounds better on low G than high G, but I still really like it. Let's hold a C chord just so we can hear how it sounds. And I'm gonna go a little bit slower with the picking pattern than I did just a second ago. So let's get your 3 fingers ready. 1. Oh, and you do not need fingernails. I'm really focusing on the flesh of my finger. Somebody asked that question. It really is the flesh of my finger, and I have like ever so slight nail that clips the end of the string, but you don't have to have nails for this, no. You'll have a slightly different tone if you have 0 nail, and that might be a really nice tone actually because the flesh always is a bit warmer. So let's try together, just holding a C. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, C, G, C, G, C. There we go. Yeah. I'm gonna switch to a G7. Here it is. Back to the C chord. G7 chord. And then a nona C. So for me, just sitting on the couch with it muted, I'll do this to warm up this hand just to get it. Maybe I'll add some chords. And also you can practice picking in different areas. You can, because this is a very different sound than versus like up here. So feel free to pick around when you're picking this, but main thing is keep your hand relaxed. We're really trying to just be very gentle with this hand and these fingers ready and prepared. So it's a nice little warm up.
Okay, so we had a great question about if you have longer fingers, and I kind of have long fingers here, and I don't really have nails on these 4. I have a little bit of nail on the thumb, but when I'm doing kind of the more kind of picking roll style, I'll actually either, if I can bring my palm, I'll kind of cut the corner of my bridge here, and I'll get a kind of mellow sound this way where it reaches out, or I'll actually bring up my wrist a little bit and kind of let my fingers just gracefully dance across those strings.
And to add to that, for me, what I would end up doing is I would actually end up having I kind of do not the opposite, but I kind of, my fingers would go farther forward. Like that, so that I'm keeping my wrist more straight. It kind of depends on, because that's a different tone than what Craig was getting when he had his hand like this. Because this is a really beautiful tone. Also going this. It's just a different sound. So you'll want to kind of experiment of what will work best for you. Rob asked, well, can you use your ring finger? This particular picking pattern, I am specifically going for making sure that I alternate with my thumb. That's just the purpose of this particular exercise. But I actually do use where I have thumb, index, middle, and ring assignments to the strings very frequently. But for this particular exercise, I wouldn't do that. Great questions.
Nice. All right.
Nice. All right, I think, yeah, note clarity, keeping your hand relaxed. I think I've gone over everything on that. So let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about scales, Craig.
Okay.
And I've written out the scales in 2 different ways depending on what works best for your brain. I like looking at it as a cage, kind of. So you've got, so that's what this is over here, where you have that open 2, open 1, 3. So I see what the notes will be, and I have the finger assignment here. Or some people prefer looking at it this way, where you've got the string name up top and the number fret that you're going to be on. So that's what all that is and why you have all those different ones. Go for it, Craig.
We can start. I'll have a zoom in your hand if we need to.
Oh, okay. Okay, for our C major scale, some of you may or may not know it. I'm just going to go through very easily or very quickly and kind of take you through. So we have an open C string, and I don't care what finger you pick with right now. I'm going to pick with my index. You could pick with your thumb if you wanted. So one thing to keep in mind is that when I say the number, I'm not only referring to the fret number, I'm also referring to what finger you're going to use, because we're going to call this 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? So that's kind of their assignments. He gets first fret, second fret, third, and fourth fret, though we're not actually going to use our pinky in this one, but keep that in mind. So open C, and then 2. Let's do open C again, and 2. Open C, and 2. Now I'm pulling my hands super far away so that you can see what I am doing, but I would typically not do that in my scale. It would look like this, and you can't really tell what's going on. Okay? So keep your fingers close to the fretboard, even though I'm not, for purposes of showing you. Next string is open E, 1, and 3. Again, open E, 1, and 3. Sounds like Brother John, right? Now again, keep your fingers close. Don't do what I'm doing for showing you. It would be open, 1, 3. Again, open, 1, 3. Next string, super easy. Open A, 2, 3. Again, open A, 2, and 3. Let's try to put them together very slowly, starting on the C string. So C string was open and 2, E strings open 1 and 3, A strings open 2 and 3. Here we go. Open C, 2. Open E, 1, 3. Open A, 2, and 3. One more time. Open C, 2. Open E, 1, 3. Open A, 2, and 3. Now, can you hear a difference when I play the scale like this? Versus so you want to make sure, just like with the 1, 2, 3, 4 exercise, that each of these notes are allowed their full time to ring. You'll notice that when I go to add my second fret, I actually leave that finger down as I pluck the E string. And then remove him, leaving my index down on the E. I pick up my index, but my ring stays, open A, and then add 2, and then 3. Leave fingers down. There's no reason for me to pick up the guy behind him, especially if I'm going to go backward. So that's one way that I keep things nice and smooth. Keep that finger down, index. Now I can lift the 2. Keep both of those fingers down, open A. Then I can lift up behind, do 2, and then 3. So keep that in mind as you're going through and trying to make this scale nice and smooth.
Now, I know many of you have been playing scales for years, but again, now is the time, if you haven't, to really hone in on that tone. You know, again, it's different. But thinking of, again, even a wave, you know, thinking of soft. Because even with the scale, even with a single note, we can do so much with that tone. You know, how we attack it, how long we let it sustain. You know, that control. This is going to be, again, every time we can take a simple exercise and add more layers to it, we're going to be that much more versatile when the time comes when we start adding in fills. But that deliberate choice of how we play each note is going to be so important. Again, this is part of that muscle memory. Now, the next variation does sound better with the high G. It does sound a little different with the low G, but it's still a great technique to have with that back and forth. If we play that same scale with our index, all we're going to do is alternate with an open G between every note. So if we have C open, follow that with the thumb, C2, follow the thumb, E open, E1, E3, A open. Now, we're kind of not rushing, but we're going to go through this section really quickly because, again, scales are on screen. Practice with that index. Practice with just that back and forth. You can even go back and forth between that C and G to get that timing down, that coordination. But everything from to there's going to be so many instances where we're going to rely on utilizing that G string for whether it's drone notes or these techniques that have melody notes. That utilize that back and forth. So again, training and getting that muscle memory down, a great way to add to our scale practice.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Okay.
So the next variation that we've got, I have us moving up in thirds. So practicing scales is great. Practicing them in order till you know them inside and out is fantastic. But you'll want to start practicing with those notes slightly out of order. That way you can come up with more ideas, because one of the things that sometimes we forget and one of the many reasons why scales are important is the melody of a song is made up of notes from the scale, right? So if you want to be able to write songs and write out your melodies, it's going to be really, really nice to be able to play those notes out of order so that you can figure out and come up with your own melodies. It also is, of course, the gateway to soloing, which is a whole other class in and of itself. So let's look at this one here. So what we're going to do is it's an open C string first, then the open E, then followed by 2 on the C, and then 1 on the E. Now notice that I kept fingers down during that. So let's do that again. Open C, open E, 2nd fret C, 1st fret E. Now you can just use your index the whole time. I don't mind. I'm probably going to alternate between these 2 fingers because that's what I'm used to. You could also use your thumb if you wanted. When I'm working on this hand, I'm not caring as much about this hand, okay? So, because I'm really wanting to focus on what this hand is doing more so than this one. So just do what's comfortable when it comes to your picking hand right now. So open C, open E, 2nd fret C, 1st fret E, open E again, 3rd fret. Now notice I put down the 1 and the 3 at the same time when I did the 3. This might remind you a little bit of that 1, 2, 3, 4 exercise. I don't have the 2nd fret down, but the reason for that is I have to go back to the 1st fret for the next note. So let's do that again. Open C, open E, 2nd fret C, 1st fret E, open E, 3rd fret, put down 2 fingers, 1st fret, then the A string. I left my index down, you'll notice, because I wanted this note to keep ringing while I hit the open A. Then 3rd fret, and I'm not caring about keeping my index there because the next note's the 2nd fret of my A string. Open A, 3rd fret. I'm going to put down that 2nd fret behind it because that's my next note. And I'm going to actually do a stretch to the 5th fret and then end on the 3rd. Let me play it for you in time so you hear how this sounds. Nice. Let's try it all together, just one time through. And don't worry if you mess up. You can rewatch this and play it more with me later or on your own. Here we go. Open C, open E, 2nd fret C, 1st fret E, open E, 3rd fret, 1st fret, open A, 3rd fret E, 2nd fret A, open A, 3, 2, stretch to 5, and then 3.
Now, I want to include one extra exercise for those singers. This was actually brought up during our recent interview with Diane Nalini, and this is something that was one of the most helpful practice things that I grew up with in singing choir. And the teacher would play a scale.
Yeah. La, next key.
Right, and this, if you're a singer, what I want you to do is, we'll play the open C, and we'll jump up to the E. So same thing, same 4 notes that Sarah's been doing, the D to the F, E to the G, but we'll walk it down, 4 to the F, to the D, to the C. So what you'll start to realize, when you watch professionals play on stage, we're not always thinking about each individual note. We're thinking about what key we're in and what number it is in that progression or scales, so that it doesn't matter really what key. We don't have to, again, think about these individual things.
You're thinking about the interval.
But the patterns, the intervals. So part of the ear training is going to be singing along with that. So in the case of this, in the key of C, the C is our 1. So we'll say 1, jump up to the E, which is a 3, 3, drop down to the 2, which is the D, 2 to the F, which is the 1 on the E string, which is the 4, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, drop to the 3, 3, which is the open E, jump up to the G note, which is the 5, walk it down to the 4, to the E, to the 4, to the D, which is the 2, and then C back to 1. Super confusing. Let me try that again. So,
yes.
Interval-wise, it's 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, 4, 2, 1. The notes we're playing is open C, E string, 2 on the C, 1 on the E, open E, to 3 on the E, to 1, to open, to the 2 on the C, and then to the open C.
Yeah.
Now, from there, we can do a step up. 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, 4, 2, 1. Step up. 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, 4, 2, 1. Step up. 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, 4, 2, 1. That means, though, if you ever are given a root, because of all that practice and saying those numbers out loud, 1, 3, I know where my 3 is without even playing it, 1, 3, or I know where my 2 is, or if I have my 1, my 4. So again, this is where you can start training your ear to really practice those intervals, because you're saying them out loud. You can take this all the way up, and so you can practice your singing. You can practice again the ear coordination. It's going to be incredible. So if you're a singer and you want to start really kind of pushing that element, I highly recommend that one, mainly because you get to say those intervals out loud.
Yeah. And that's absolutely right. And you can do that with your standard scale too. If you're just starting to sing, you can always do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right? You can do that. One other thing I just want to mention real quick with scale work is you can always work on different feels with it. For example, if your interest is jazz, you could always swing your scale instead of playing it straight. So instead of doing, I could always do. So this is 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's straight time. So then if I go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Versus, so just keep that in mind. If I did 1 and 2 and made them eighth notes instead of quarter notes, and that would be how I would swing it up. You could also try, a variety of other things. You could try to make it feel like a waltz if you wanted, but just keep that in mind in your practice that you can also do that with your scales, is change the feel. I am going to continue on because we got a lot to cover today, so I don't want to, I could spend more time on that, but I just want to keep us moving forward. I'm going to try to make this brief, but practicing with a metronome. Okay, the metronome is always right, and that is incredibly frustrating sometimes, but it's a really great thing to practice with. If you've never actually practiced with one, I'd actually recommend not physically playing your instrument just yet. And I kind of take you through the steps of, I'd start your metronome, and I have a free one on my phone called Pro Metronome. I like it a lot. It's a great little app. They have a version of it that you can purchase, but I don't need all of the crazy features where it just goes through. Let me turn the volume up. Okay, I have this currently set at 65. And I just would take the time, if you've never done this before, and try to just tap to it, doing 1, 2. And if you have trouble doing that, just tap on the first one. 2, 3, tap again. 2, 3, and then eventually doing 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you're feeling confident that you can actually tap in time to the metronome, then you can start thinking about strumming. Again, I'm not going to play any chords. I'm just going to have this be muted and scratchy sounding. Same thing, we'll start this back up. And I'll just try to strum with it. Oh my gosh. Right? Once I feel confident that I can actually strum with the metronome without worrying about chords, just physically get the strum down, then I might try doing different chord progressions. So a progression that I mentioned in my notes is, well, first of all, just starting with just a C chord, for example. Now don't strum too loudly because it's really easy to drown out your metronome. So practice quietly. If you need to look at the metronome, because it actually has a bouncing, let's see if I can do this. You can kind of see there's like the bouncing ball going back and forth. Some people like that visual of the light up, so you can watch it. 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna put it here so that you can hear it better, I think. 3, 4. And once you're feeling confident here, I might do a progression. Now, why is it important to practice with a metronome? Well, I think one of the biggest reasons for practicing with a metronome is that it actually makes your internal clock much better. It's in a way like training your internal metronome so that you won't speed up songs. Also, it's important because you want to make sure that you actually play the song correctly. And it's really easy to drop or add beats to a song if you aren't practicing with a metronome. And sometimes we'll tell our students, oh, I noticed that you didn't let that measure go, all 4 beats. You cut it off actually on the 3rd beat. This will ensure that that doesn't happen. Also, a metronome allows you, if you practice with a metronome, you're actually going to have, I think, an easier time playing with other people. People will be able to follow you better because your timing is better. So practicing with a metronome, I think, is super important. And one big thing that I remember from practicing violin that my teacher would always tell me, and I have it in bold at the bottom, always practice the fastest that you can cleanly play the hardest part of the song. So If you've got a transition that's super difficult in one spot that makes you super slow down, then you need to play that whole song at that speed. That way you don't end up making the song have weird speed up and slow downs, and you ensure that everything is smooth. And then you incrementally make the beats per minute a little bit faster every time you practice so that you can get the whole song at the speed you really want, your goal speed. Now, with this in mind, let's chat a little bit about transitions. It's really important to work on and practice those. And that's actually a lot of times when I pull out my metronome. If I'm really working hard to hone in on going from, like, let's say C to E minor, C to E minor. So for me, I'm going back and forth only, notice how I'm only using this hand, going C. I have this finger back behind already prepped because I know that E minor's coming, right? So I've got C, holding down 2 fingers, E minor. I'm using my pinky and my ring. Some people might prefer to do this, or you could even do C with your middle finger and do that, depending, again, it's what chord comes after E minor that might make me make this choice. But for me, C, E minor, C, E minor. And then I might pull out my metronome and then just do C, E minor. And then maybe then speed it up, just back and forth, right? So for me, using the metronome, using the metronome for that purpose of making sure I can get this timing down of doing that particular transition, I think is super important when working specifically on transitions. And I might spend like a full minute only working on 1 or 2 transitions. And I know Craig had some things he wanted to chat about with chord transitions, so I'm gonna pass it over to him.
Okay, so, really quick, I wanted to mention, because this is something that we still, still see to this day, where we see players that are both beginners and kind of, a couple years into their playing, and they're doing a, playing a song, C, let's say A minor, F, and G7, very simple progression. But as I'm watching their transitions, their hand is jumping all over the place, and again, efficiency is so important, because not only does it help with speed, but it does give us more time to really focus on, again, the quality of how we're holding each note. And so again, part of your journey, I hope this year is really thinking about what are the best ways you can get from one chord to the next, and keeping this as kind of in home base as possible. So like even from a C to A minor to F to G7, it's this nice kind of pocket that it's in, right? You don't see any of this extra wrist that pops up. Let's say even in F, let's do an F. We'll do a D minor. Make sure that ring finger has space. And again, this is the difference between kind of violin fingers going down the neck and having space here, compared to piano fingers where they're fighting over that same kind of fret there. So again, having that nice resting spot, F, add my ring finger for the D minor, and then I'm just gonna swing that for the B flat. But see how nice and easy that swing is, that rotation, getting from my F or D minor to my B flat. Now to C7 or C, I could just go 2 frets up and practice doing that bar version of the C chord as well. But it's these little things that, again, we want to make sure that chords like the B flat don't bother us anymore, right? Toning in that and realizing it doesn't take that much effort, but that transition, again, is what makes that smooth and efficient. One more progression. We're going to do an A chord. We'll do an F sharp minor, which is just, again, adding a friend to the E string. And again, because of that angle, see how it's kind of pointing toward my face compared to pointing this way. My D. Now, I see a lot of people with E7s that, again, for some reason, is all the way out here. We don't need to do that, right? Again, this kind of nice little pocket, A, F sharp minor to D. Look at my E7, it's right there. And for the E7, again, as if you just to keep your wrist nice and straight, I'm just letting my fingers fall. That's kind of exactly where we want them to just fall onto the strings naturally, and kind of, again, make that fist. This is where that power comes from compared to the wrist out and trying to squeeze that guy down. So A, F sharp minor to D, and E7 right there. Again, not a lot of extra movement. So again, part of again, being deliberate about your transitions this year is going to help with everything else by dialing that in, especially as we add some extra kind of fills. But it's all within that little pocket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, one last thing about metronomes that I want to say is that the metronome is a harsh mistress, and she can be really boring to play with, which is why there's awesome apps out there, as well as things that you can purchase, like drum machines that I love to practice with. So there's one in particular that I mentioned that's an actual like drum machine. It's you can get it at Sweetwater. It's that Boss, what did I call it? Oh yeah, Boss DR01S Rhythm Partner. I love it. It looks kind of like a pair of bongos a little bit. But you can do like tons of rhythms on that. But there's also free apps out there. I think the one that I use is like Drum Beats Plus. And that is great. There's also something for you jazz, well, even non-jazz folks can use Ireo Pro. It's a great app. It can do multiple different feels. You can input the kind of chords you want, and it creates a backing track for you so that you are practicing in time and it's not as boring as playing to this really dull click. You can also record yourself playing with a metronome on your ukulele. So I could have a metronome in my ear, in an earbud, and actually maybe on a voice memo, or if I'm fancy pants, GarageBand, and I can record myself playing a backing track of like C, A minor, F, G7, and I might record something like that for like 3 minutes. And then now I have a backing track that's my ukulele that I can practice to as well. There's also backing tracks out there, like for you jazz folks, Jamie Aebersold has a ton of them that he's had out since I think his books and stuff started in like the 70s. So there's that. You can always find backing tracks also on YouTube. Sometimes if you're like, I want to practice the doo-wop progression, look up doo-wop backing track or playback, key of X, whatever your key is, and I bet you that that is also out there. So keep that in mind, that you don't have to play with just the metronome itself. There are apps out there like Ireo Pro, or you can look up backing tracks that already exist or make your own. And those are great things to practice too as well.
Oh, aloha, Cynthia Lynn. She's one of our favorites.
Yay.
Oh, good to see you. Happy New Year.
I love it.
I want to mention one thing too before we move on is there's been times, myself included, where sometimes we start on an instrument and it's great, and it's super playable, and there gets to a point where there's just something is wonky. And for me, the instrument that I started with, the action on the nut was so high and hard to hold down.
Yes.
I couldn't do bar chords easily on the first couple frets. My B flat was painful. And there's been numerous times, whether it's on our retreats or ukulele cruises, that we get to actually, be there in person. And, a couple people we had, were helping, they couldn't do B flat even though everything looked perfect. And we handed them our instruments and they could do it. Not all ukuleles are created the same. And I just want to let you know, sometimes it's not your fault at all. Sometimes there's buzzing that happens, and there's nothing you can do to prevent something like that sometimes. As well as some of the bar chords. That's why if you are looking to upgrade this year, the ukulele site does a fantastic setup that makes sure that tension is great and nice and playable. Mims does a great job on setup as well. So I mean, I'm not even talking about ukulele brands. I'm talking about properly kind of setting them up, because even with a entry level uke, they can do
Yeah.
magic with them, and make them incredibly easy to play. And it's just, so it's one of those things to kind of keep in mind, that there are some things out of your control sometimes. So never get frustrated with yourself. It's one of the things where, try to play other ukes too, and see if that makes a difference, because a lot of times you guys are doing an absolutely fantastic job, but I sense some of that frustration sometimes, and it's to see the relief when they can actually do it on a different ukulele.
Well, we actually did have that with a student where he had done all of the right things. He was doing everything perfectly. And then one day Craig said, you know what? Because he was playing, I think it was an Islander ukulele, I think, that he had just gotten from a local store. And those are great instruments. And so we were surprised he was having trouble. But then we said, you know what? Try this. And we gave him our custom instrument just to try. And all of a sudden, he could do all of the things that he couldn't do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you need to run out and buy like a $2,000 instrument, but if he had had the setup changed on it to be similar to what was on the custom, lowering the action and stuff, he would be able to do it. He actually ended up going out and getting a K1, but and he was able to do everything because the ukulele site where he purchased it from set it up and made it all nice for him.
That Beat Buddy, that's the one that Jake had for the retreat that
Yeah.
he did? Ah!
I know.
He
love-
was rocking out to that
Dude.
thing. That was so much fun.
So I'm hopeful that that's something we can splurge on later, because I love practicing with those kinds of things. They're just really, really handy, and they just make it more fun. So definitely, I think, that would be awesome if we got to purchase one of those. They're not super expensive, but they are still it's like $200 something. It does give me pause. But I have a feeling that I'll be able to get one a little bit later this year.
Oh, Cameron will be able to play actual drums in a little bit, probably.
Oh my gosh, yes. He wants to. Actually, he's mostly interested in the bass, which I think is really fun. So let's move on, because I think we've finally get into the song, and we can actually get into some really fun stuff that's technique based. Now that
let's
we've done
do it.
warm-ups, we've done scales, we've talked about please practice with the metronome for part of your practice. When you're learning something brand new though, and you don't know all of the chords or all of where your fingers are going, don't worry about practicing with the metronome yet. I like having things under my hands first before I add the metronome to the party. So if there's a particular progression you're working on and you always forget where E7 is, then maybe let's work on memorizing that progression and knowing where E7 is first before you bring the metronome to the party, so you don't get super frustrated and quit. All right, Craig, take it away.
Okay.
Yeah. Because this is, you want me to start with the pick roll?
Well-
All right. So this is one that we teach in our Artist Work School, Sarah's pick roll. It's kind of tricky, but what we're going to do is I'm just going to take you through just the chords. We have A minor, and if you could strum it, that sounds awesome, right? Or we can assign each string a finger. So now we're actually going to use thumb, index, middle, and ring, okay? Now what I want us to do here, I'm taking away my fretting hand because this is more important right now. I'm not going to hold a chord at all, just all open strings. And what the pick roll is we're basically plucking all the strings but letting them each have a moment, like that. So we're not plucking all together like that. Everybody. And I'm going to turn to the side so you can see my hand. Like that, not like this. So every string is getting a moment. The way that we tell people to kind of work on this is ignore the thumb for a little while and just work on getting, so index, middle, ring, index, middle, ring. Then eventually you'll want to speed them up so they have this triplet sound. Triplet. If you're not used to using multiple fingers, this will take you time, okay? So don't get frustrated. Then once you feel you're getting a good triplet feel, Then you can start adding the thumb. And then eventually there won't be a pause in between, and you'll go through all of them, just like that. Okay? So work with open strings first when you're doing this. So I'm going to turn back to the front so you can see the front of my hand. So that is the pick roll, and just a general quick way of how I go through and build it in my practice.
Okay, now already you can see such a big difference. If we were to kind of strum this as we would like in an ukulele club, right? You know. Yeah, what is that?
Whenever I'm in love with you, you make me feel like I am fun again.
Now compared to something like 2, 3, 4.
Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am home again. Now you're doing extra fancy stuff.
Yeah, so, but again, it's now, again, it's being deliberate. It's being in control of your sound, because again, this isn't a one-size-fit-all, right? There needs to be, especially for a song as powerful as this and that you can build up, we need to really reinforce that. So part of this, again, is starting to layer and build. So that kind of base foundation using the, Sarah's pick roll, you know, is a great start to that. And this is, again, just changing, you know, doing one hit per chord. Now, as you see the next one, we're gonna add a little bit more. We're just gonna add an A and an E. So we're gonna do the pluck, G, pluck, and then 2, 3, F, A, E, E7, A, E. Let's go a little bit slower. So you can see that the A and the E are happening on the offbeat. So it's gonna be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So again, it does scale really nicely with the speed as well. Can we scroll up from there?
Of course.
Okay. So now let's do one variation on the chords themselves. So for the A minor, we're gonna keep. For the G, we're gonna do the G chord, but with an open A. Oh, that sounds so pretty. And then for the F, if you have a high G, we're gonna keep that G string open. So instead of an F, we're gonna keep that G string open. If you have a low G, you can muck around with it, but you'll probably wanna close it up. It doesn't have that same ring. And for the E7, we're just gonna play that regular E7. Now let's look how much that changes just from that. And we'll do a pick roll. So A minor will stay. We'll do G with an open A. We'll do an F with the open G. And then an E7. Ooh, so now we're gonna do that variation with the A and the E. So it's gonna sound like this. A minor, A, E. G with the open A, E, F, A, E, E7. Sorry.
It's you're just having him do the AE, even though I think the tab is you're doing 2.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the tab right now.
Okay.
So this is just from that
Making
last
sure
exercise.
I didn't need to write stuff.
So again, we're gonna layer all these different variations and keep going. So now we're gonna try what's on the tab right now. So here with that A minor, we're gonna do the same pattern of timing, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So all we're doing is adding the 2 and the 3 on the A string. So it's going to sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now G with that open A. 1 and 2. We're going to add the 2 and then add the 3. Then F add 9. So again, that's simple F. 1 and 2. Add the 2, add the 3. In E7, 3, 2. So what's happening here is that after the strum, we're adding 2, 3 on the A string. For the G, we're adding 2, 3 on the A string. For the F, we're adding 2, 3 on the A string. And for the E7, we're going to change it up and do 3, 2.
Pretty.
So again, we're going a little bit fast because again, we have everything on screen. You have your PDFs. You can always rewind and rewatch the replay. But let's see what this sounds like when we put it all together. It's going to sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So that's even with a strum sounds, like a different tone than that pick roll. So you can definitely mix and match. Now, let's think about utilizing hammer-ons and pull-offs for this. So the next line, we're going to keep that A minor. So if that harp roll is a little tricky right now, we can just do a pinch, and that's going to be just as great for now. So we can do a pinch, 2 and 3, and so that's going to stay the same. Now, for the G with the open A, this is one of my favorite runs. We're going to do... there actually should be another full kind of chord there, Sarah.
Oh, you want
for
another
the
chord
3.
there? Okay, that's... Okay.
For now, let's keep it straight.
Okay,
so
I'll do this so that
what
if
we're gonna
people
do,
want, they can...
Okay, so we're going to do the G with the open A. Now I'm going to prep my 3rd fret and my 2nd fret. I'm going to hit the A string with the 3 on, and then pull off my pinky so that it makes that 2nd fret ring. So again, I'm plucking the 3, pulling off to the 2, and then pulling off the middle to the open. Now the trickiest thing about this is getting that open A to ring while holding the rest of that G chord, right? As long as you're in that corner here, going diagonal across to that D note, there's no way that index is going to hit that open A. So part of it is playing with those angles. So from here, we're going to strum with the open A, prep your pinky and your middle finger. We're going to pluck the A string, pull to the 2, pull to the open. And then we're going to follow that with the thumb on the G. So it's going to sound like this. That nice walk down. Now, this is hard. This is not easy at all. This is going to start building up that muscle memory. It's going to really work on your calluses. But it's so pretty. So I'm going to play up to there and showcase what that sounds like.
Ooh.
So nice, right? And then it's going to go to the F. And then the same run, F. So again, this is a little bit easier, right? So F with the add 9, which is the open G. Prep the 3 and the 2 on the A string. We can do a strum. Sorry, not a strum, but a pluck on the A string. Pull to the middle, pull to the open. And then thumb on the open G. So again, prep 2 and 3. We're going to hit the A string. Pull the ring, pull the middle, open G, and then we can resolve to the E7. And that one I can do, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. We can give it a little bit of syncopation. Again, mixing and matching, that's not really that important compared to these other techniques that we're practicing. So up to there, it's going to sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... What I'm playing? No, sorry, one more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and let's try it again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2. Whew.
I love the mixing and matching. Like that's the one thing that's really cool about learning all of these different.
Yeah, because again, we
ones.
want to see your take on this. We want to see your version of this. Again, and again, this is not something that we kind of played with in a few minutes and then perfected. No, this is a lot of time, especially working on that run, because just like our scales, being deliberate, thinking about, okay, I want to start that run a little bit louder, and then have it kind of roll down and slowly decrease in volume. But again, it's showcasing how we can take, some of these techniques that you've been working on, hammer-ons and pull-offs, and play them a little differently, include them in a little different way. Now, the next line was
That's the end of the phrase.
2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and so that pull-off run does start on the 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and oh, so for there, what I'm doing there is a little fill that's, again, easier than it sounds and looks like. All we're doing is hitting the open E. So let me hear your open E string. After we hit it, we're going to hammer on the 1 and let it go really quickly. It's going to sound like this. And I'll go down to the 2 on the C and then back up to the open E. So it's going to sound like this. So that last line. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's supposed to be over the E7, right?
No, it actually happens prior. And it ends on the, yeah.
I should be over the E7, I think.
It ends with the
1,
E7.
2, and
But you could always put it in the E7 area if you wanted to.
2 and
Triplet and E7.
yeah, so over the E7 is where I would play that. Yeah, 1 and the other. So we're gonna do a E7 and straight into that run.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll kind of we can change that up. Yeah. So over that, right after that 1 beat on the E7.
So one person asked, would you mind doing your pull-off in slow motion? Is your right hand only hitting once for the third note of the pull-off?
So for the pull-off, let's try it on the F chord because the same pull-off, same run. So holding the F at 9, we're gonna prep the 2 and 3 on the left hand. Now again, right hand is only gonna hit that A string once. Pull off to the middle, pull off to the open, and then open G with the right hand. So on the A string is only going to hit once, and then thumb on the G. So if we were to do it from the top, oh. Okay. Yeah, again, it's so fun to be able to really mix and match all these different techniques. Is that Milo Fultz? Where's Milo Fultz?
Yeah, I know. I saw Milo. He makes me so happy.
Milo, are you back already?
He is
Oh
in the
my
United
gosh.
States now. Woo,
Hope you're
Milo.
resting up, Milo. It's always great to see you. We missed you. You've been away for months.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I think Milo, we need to host Milo doing another bass ukulele workshop. That would
We
be so
sure
much
do.
fun. All right. All right, so let's work on some hammer-ons even more. Open A, hammer on the 2. Now, again, if you're not getting a solid hammer-on, always think that you have to smash that spider on that string before it jumps up and eats your eyeball, right? So
Whoa.
it has to be a very physical kind of hit. You can't just place it. Again, that spider is going to jump away, right? So it has to be a very deliberate kind of smack.
And it needs to be right on the string.
Yeah, if you miss the string a little bit, it's not going to have that same ring, right? So right on the string itself. And we're actually going to make this more complicated, again, for practice sake, but we're going to do a double hammer-on. So we're going to do it open A, and then with the left hand, 2 and 3. Now, this is super hard to do slow. The slower it is, there's less vibration for that string to play off of, less energy. So you can do it, when you practice this, it's kind of weird to say, but practice the hammer-on a little bit faster in the sense where if you slow it down like you normally would any other run, it's going to be much harder to actually do it. So a decent speed. Make sure you keep that middle finger down as you hit that ring finger. So,
and make sure that they're all consistent, because one thing that people tend to do is
yeah, it's way
you
too
want to make sure
fast. Yeah.
each note gets the same amount of time. So keep that in mind.
All right, so after the 2 hammer-ons, we're going to hit the 3 again, to the 2, to the open, 2, 2, open, 3 on the E, and then open. All right, so now you can start hearing that melody, right? And again, we're not spending a ton of time trying to master the run right now. You have this recording to review and the PDF and everything, so we want to make sure we get to the meat and potatoes of this technique a little bit more, this run, I should say. Repeats.
Ooh.
So again, that same pattern from that last run, right? Again, it happens right after that downbeat. 1.
And then the E7.
So, if Sarah, let's say, was playing the chords over this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, it's a really nice layering. And again, you can do... See, this is the difference, right? If I was to pluck every note... It's kind of harsh, right? Because it happens so fast compared to... It's such a nicer way of getting those notes compared to... Or... And there are songs where you do actually want to, to really hit all of those notes in rapid succession. But for a song like this, kind of keeping it mellow and again layering and building, this is where that hammer-ons really get highlighted.
And I also want to point out, I was just playing plain vanilla behind him, just down strums, just doing, you know, A minor, G, right? Super vanilla. So I probably wouldn't do that with him playing that way, and maybe we'll have Craig play it again in a minute. But that's just something to keep in mind, as I was just pretending I was a metronome playing behind him during this. Yeah, I have a tuner. Yeah, I'll double check mine too. But that uke is newer, so the strings are probably a bit newer.
Well, we haven't actually used that one as much since we got the new ones. I think
It's true,
that one
and
is-
it's also getting warmer in here. We have the AC off for your comfort, for your ears' comfort.
Yes.
There we go. So I would probably actually play a bit differently. Would you mind playing that one more time?
Oh, the picking part?
Yeah.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm gonna leave him space. Right? So I wouldn't necessarily be strumming all the time if he's doing something beautiful like this, because I don't want to obliterate it. So keep that in mind too as you're practicing, is when you practice with your metronome, it's good to just let a few clicks happen where there's rests, or that you're allowing the notes to breathe and ring.
Now, one last tangent too. For those of you who are picking more and doing more fills and runs, you know, again, being deliberate about where those long notes are. So, for example, like the open E is much easier to get to, but if I really wanted to, let's say I was doing a recording, I wanted to have more control over that note. I would hit that C string 4th fret, and I would give it a little bit of vibrato. You see that difference there? Just a slight, compared to just an open E where you can't do anything with it, right? So this is the first version. Second version. You know, having that control there. So little things like that will make a heck of a difference. Again, thinking of each note and what ones are the most important, and then how you can change that tone or focus that tone in on being more deliberate and on that projection.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the beautiful things about ukulele, is that you have this multiple places to play the same notes. So you might decide that you don't want to use all open strings, or maybe you want to play everything on one string because you like the tone that's happening on that string. And those are deliberate choices that you are going to make. So just keep that in mind as you practice as well. And then I think we've got a brush stroke and a couple of other chord substitutions, and then I'll chat a little bit about practice, and then our session is done.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy.
All right, so let's talk about the brush stroke. I don't even know what this is called. I'm just making something up here.
Right. Sometimes I think I've heard it called a split stroke, but that might not be totally what you're doing, but it's a really cool technique. Let's try it.
So what we're gonna do with your index finger, let's hold that A minor on the left hand with your index finger, and let's actually go full screen on this. I want you to do an up. Now, not all ups are created equal, right? Like I can do a harsh up like this with the side of my finger, or on this particular one, I'm gonna use all of my kind of fatty part of my index and just, again, kind of brushing my strings. Now, as you can tell, I'm not really hitting that G string as much as the bottom 3 strings. And that's important because I want to actually highlight that G string with my thumb. So I'm going to do up, down, up, down, up, down. But again, that tone difference in that brush, right? That's important. Again, we don't want this to be a very bright sounding tone. Now, what we can do with this is, again, we talk about layer and we talk about maybe the introduction for the song. Again, it adds such a nice platform to build off of, and again, it's getting the notes and changing them in a way that matches more of how we're interpreting the song and the arrangement, instead of,
Which still sounds nice, but
again, to have your choice.
nice texture.
Let's say Sarah was gonna sing, and I can build behind her while she does that. 2, 3, 4.
Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am home again. Whenever I'm alone with you.
And then, you know, go into it from there. But again, it's such a nice technique to kind of have under your belt.
And ghost note carol is a good way of kind of referring to that G. It's some people call it a ghost note because it's like, it's faint, it's in the background, woo, spooky. I like thinking of it as a drone.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's kind of what you're emulating, is that drone happening in the background. But yeah, you can sometimes people refer to it as a ghost note because you're not fully plucking it, making it the focus. It's really behind and just adding texture, which is really nice. You'll see some of the older players like Kimohashi, Eri Kamai, those guys, they actually do a lot of strums where they split their strum like that. And it's a really beautiful technique, and it's kind of an old style technique that is a great one to practice. And it's really, I think this one's good to practice for multiple reasons, but the main one is I think it really makes you more controlled with your strum and really makes you more deliberate. I think it's harder to play quietly than it is to play loudly, and so it's good for honing that in. Nice. Now, we of course talk about in our live streams chord substitutions. That's something that we've done multiple live streams on when we talked about song arranging and things like that. So one other thing that you can do is you can practice some of those on this song. One that I really like is actually trying to create movement with those substitutions, because I could play those substitutions all in one place, but as you can see here, I'm having us actually go up the neck. So we're playing on the 5th and 7th frets of your strings. So I've got 5, 7, 5, 7 for an A minor 7 instead of a standard A minor. And then I'm taking this and I'm going to move it to a G major 6 chord instead of playing just a regular G. That is going to be on the 3rd fret here, and I'm playing 4, 4, 3, 5. So again, moving it back up, I have A minor 7, 5, 7, 5, 7. Some people like to bar. I like to have all 4 fingers, especially in this particular instance, because when I move down, my pinky is scooting down and everybody else is kind of going whoop and getting into position. And then this chord is, if I take it to the 1st fret, that's now F6. And then I'm leaving E7 because on my A string, this is what's going on for each chord. So this is the A minor 7 note that's, and then the F, and then the E7, right? So I have this nice cascading walk down happening on my A string. So again, I've got G6, F6, and then the E7. I like layering it where I might just do like a pick roll, for example. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. And if Craig was to play with me, we'd have A minor, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. We'll do it again. So he's playing just the regular chords. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So how beautiful that sounds when you put them together. It's a great one. You can also do, you know, a picking pattern if you prefer, you know. And maybe strum that one, right? So those are just some things you can keep in mind for when you utilize those kinds of chords. That this is a great way to practice. You could, if you wanted, add in going from the G6 to F6, you could always do and walk it down if you wanted. I wouldn't do it every time because that's kind of like one trick pony moment, right? Where you're like, I'm gonna play this every time. But you can, when you practice it, you can play it every time. So what I'm doing here is 1 and 2 and 3 and, sorry, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. So it's 4 and 1. So I'm making sure that that last beat, I hit the G6 again, but then on the and of that beat, move down. And then when I'm at the next measure, which should be F, I should be on F as well. So that is something that you can do there. Also, if you would rather do, you know, different chord patterns, I've got some other ones for you that you can always try out where you're using a standard A minor. I like this voicing. It can kind of be a pain to get to, but I really like this note up here, and it's another sort of cascading feeling one. Now, I like how it sounds when we actually hold a closed G chord, which should remind you a little bit of F, actually. It's where I'm barring the 2nd fret and holding what looks like F under it. But the thing I'm doing is I'm actually adding my pinky to the 5th fret, like that. The other version that has the open G, I could do this if I wanted. But I like this sound, and I'll tell you why in a second after I get to play through all of it. And then the F add 9, I'm gonna actually scoot my pinky down to the 3rd fret and add this note, but have that open G string, and then E7. So, if I'm doing this A minor, and that was my G string and my A string that I was focusing on, and I do the barred one, where I add my pinky, see, I've got walk down notes happening on the A and the E string now, which I really like. And then, of course, the F. And then the E7, it comes back up. So this one, what I really like is doing a picking pattern that Craig calls inside, outside. And that's the timing wise, it's inside, outside, rest, rest. Inside, outside, rest, rest. And what I'm going to do is take my thumb and my index, and I'm going to put them on the inside strings, C and E, and I'm going to do inside, and then I'm going to put them on the outside strings, the G and the A, and then do outside. So here we go. We'll do it a little slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inside, outside, rest, move to the next chord. Inside, outside, rest, next chord, and inside, outside, rest, E7. Inside, outside, here we go again. Inside, outside, rest, next chord, and inside, outside, rest, next chord. Inside, outside, rest, and the E7, inside, outside. So I really like how that sounds, in particular when I have the G string covered during that G chord, especially with that picking pattern, because if I did the one with the open G, here's how it would sound. Inside, outside, rest, rest. Inside, outside. I'd have 2 G notes happening right after each other versus this one. I like that sound. So of having that note there. So just keep that in mind. That's why I made that choice. But if you need to do the open G one, you can. And then of course the next one, I have us going up the neck. So it's that same A minor doing inside, outside, bar the 7th fret and have your pinky up on the 10. Nice and high. Move it down to the 5th fret for the F. And you have 2 choices. You could move down to the 4th fret and do E7. Or you could move it up to the 7th fret, which I actually really like. So let me do the one where we move up. So I have A minor. Inside, outside, move to the 7th fret. Move to the 5th. Move back to 7. I really like that versus doing inside, outside. Sorry. Move to the 7th. Move to the 5th. Sorry. 4th fret, E7. But both sound great. So you can try that with these different chord variations, and it's a great way to practice picking. Again, utilize dynamics, and notice that I'm not doing heavy strumming on these, especially if I'm playing with someone else. I'm going to try to make them a little bit more delicate and sort of fairy dust-like.
All right, now we're gonna take some time. Let's actually play through, and you guys can pick whatever you guys want to work on, whether it's some of the variations from earlier, whether it's some of these new chord voicings. But before that, we want to have a couple housekeeping memos. One, next month's workshop date is already decided, and we have a very special guest that we're going to be collaborating with. Let's see if that works.
Oh no. Hi.
So we will be joined with Diane Nalini. We'll be doing song arranging, utilizing the song "Too Marvelous for Words."
It's going to be really fun. Basically, what we're looking at is Diane's going to take you through the piece, show you some of the ways that she'd arrange it, and talk about vocals. And then I will take you through the same piece and do something else with the arrangement. So you can kind of get a cool take on what it's like when you get the same song from two different folks. So
Yeah,
it should be a ton of fun.
And then we have a very special premiere tomorrow happening. Again, we're still gonna play through Love Song in just a little bit, but I'm gonna play this ad that we made really quick because we hope you guys join us live, because there's a chance that you can win a brand new Kanale ukulele as well.
Yes.
We are super excited to feature Honoka. I think we had the best lighting yet.
Which we should have, because we had to try to film her 3 different occasions, thunderstorms, all 3 occasions. So we finally had the perfect weather for her.
Yes, but you do get 1 free entry to win that Kanalea just by joining us live and saying something in the live chat.
Yeah.
There's going to be other entries to do so. And again, we can't thank you guys enough. And let's go through the song. Maybe I'll pull up the...
What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip up to the first time that this shows up, because we have verses and chorus chords written out that we can have up if you want, or just turn... Oh, I don't have the page number written down on this one.
And again, we don't have a Patreon. We try to keep these things absolutely free to the public. If you do want to support, you can... oops, not that one. You can purchase a packet.
Yes.
Or you can do a donation. I'll have that graphic up in a second. Is it there? So I mean, there's multiple ways to help support what we do. But again, not everyone can support at all, and we that's why we do these live and for free. We do want to make sure that people who are interested and wanting to learn the ukulele, they have these kind of resources available to them. And thank you guys for paying it forward. A huge shout out to our Artist Work students.
You guys rock.
we have that 30-day challenge that should be up next week. Keep an eye on for that, as well as Diane's interview. But really, thank you guys so very much for your support.
Yeah.
All right, let's
Give it a shot. Let's
do
see
it.
if I remember
So-
the words.
Okay.
And pick whatever variations you want. We focused mostly on the verse today. The chorus, you can use some of those chord substitutions, whatever you'd like. Bring us in, Craig, when you are ready.
And yes, this will be recorded and online, usually right after.
So you can keep practicing with us.
So whether you want to practice the picking with me or, yes, Jeff Peterson, we are doing a very fun collaboration with him. More details on that soon.
Yes. Who said Jeff?
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am home again. Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am home again. You're going to the chorus? Usually we have a break there. I will always love you. Sing with me, Craig. Matter how long I stay, I will always love you.
Whatever the words I say,
I will always love you. I will always love you.
let's go a little bit faster now. Let's go about, 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, being able to change things up on the fly, creating your version of these arrangements.
Yeah. Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am young again. Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am fun again. All right, let's do the chorus. However far away, I will always love you. However long I stay, I will always love you. No matter the words I say, I will always love you. I will always love. We're back at the verse. So there's so much that you can do with a song like this. And it's a great tune to play around with. We hope you have fun practicing your hammer-ons and pull-offs. You'll notice at the very end of your packet, I go through some practice regiment stuff where I talk about if you have a 15-minute interval of practice, you can, how I kind of break up our practice. As I said in the Diaper Club, you actually get a little bit more information on the practice regiment 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and an hour. And you get some extra movable scale exercises and some warm-up exercises, plus access to a mini lesson where I'm going to take you through Love Song, and we're going to work on making a chord melody together. So if you want to upgrade your packet, you can. Just email us. But again, thank you all so much for joining us
Thank you
today.
guys for the kind words in the chat. Yes, we still have spots in our March retreat. That's going to be a ton of fun.
Second session.
Real quick. So for those of you who are still sticking around, there is a live stream that we did that talked about intro to soloing,
Yes.
as well as intro to theory. This is a perfect song for that because being in the key of A minor, the relative major scale is C.
Yep.
So if Sarah could do the basic chords for me really quick.
2, 3, 4.
I can use notes in my C scale.
Except here.
Now, the reason why she said that not here, that E7 chord has an accidental, has a G sharp. So that means you can't play a regular G without it conflicting, only over that E7. So anytime you see that E7, you have to play that G sharp instead of a G. Now let's go back to it one more second. 1, 2, 3, 4. So any of these notes is, again, relatively you can use them. Oh, I played G.
That's all right.
So again, that is a perfect tie-in if you want to review that workshop. Again, it's up free. It's up that we did I think a year or two ago, but it's a perfect time if that's something that you want to explore this year. Look back at that lesson and kind of combine things that you're learning in this one, and it's going to be a perfect match because you're going to be used to those scale notes in the key of C, and it layers perfectly in A minor. You're just going to have a different focus on what notes you kind of land on. And again, this is just to get started. Everything then, is by feel, but just to be able to start doing your fills and soloing, that's going to be a perfect match. So again, Happy New Year. Thank you for including us on your ukulele journey. Again, thank you to our Artist Work students. It's been so much fun working with you guys, and we have so much more content for the school this year. Now that we can plan on going back and recording some new lessons, and we'll probably do a few here before that happens as well.
Yeah, we'll see.
And Cameron is with his grandparents right now, but let me pull up a quick photo because someone asked if they could see Cameron today.
Nah.
Let me grab
We'll do a quick picture
one
of
of
Cam.
just the last few days.
Yes, and also somebody had asked who's the song by, etc. The song was written by Robert Smith of The Cure. The Cure, I believe, is the first people that recorded it, and I believe this is actually what he used to propose to his wife. This song, and they are still married. And then Adele has made it popular again. Her version is absolutely stunning. So definitely check it out for sure. And there's our son. He's so cute.
Oh, let me show him. It's so big.
How come it's so big?
I know, let me.
Oh my gosh,
Oh my
he's so
gosh.
cute.
Oh, it's a vertical photo. That's why. Let me.
Yeah. Oh, it looks fine, Craig. Just leave it.
So
There
it's
he is.
it's
The
been
mountains
fun
of Manoa.
trying to find that balance of
Yeah.
of working and home
Yeah.
life. And
He's super cute, and he
Yeah.
cracks us up every day. I swear. And I love watching him grow and seeing his mind just like you can see the gears turning as he's making discoveries, and it's really fun. Our little scientist.
Yes, but again, thank you guys so much. And yes, you can still buy packets. We keep those up. We do raise the minimum price though.
The
after
price
about a
gets
week or
raised
two.
after a week, so make sure to get your packet now before it's $10.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. We hope you have a fantastic rest of your Saturday. Hopefully we'll
Yeah.
see you tomorrow for our free
Free
concert
concert.
with Honoka.
Yes, and you can always support the concert series if you want by purchasing a digital program. Those are just $10, and it has all of the box charts, so you can actually play along with her if you want to
Nice.
play and jam with her. So see you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. Hawaii time. It's going to be a blast.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you.